The name's D. JD. Hold on, cut! Seriously, come on. I'm doing a Bond parody dressed like this. Couldn't I get like a nice, like, three-piece suit or a tux, or the umbrella cost me my entire film budget? What film budget?
We regret to inform you that we are unable to afford film, which is odd because the show was shot on a digital camera, but we're dedicated to bringing you the best affordable alternative with a very special guest. Enjoy. Oi, I'm George Lazenby, and I'm taking a break between my celebrated multi-film franchise James Bond to introduce you to the From the Pages review of Kingsman, The Secret Service. Crikey! That sounds like a spy film, just like the kind I continue to star in to this very day. Didgeridoo! I don't care much for Mark Millar. The comic writer has made most of his career trying to get attention by shocking the audience as much as possible. Rape, incest, little girls violently killing people. It's the equivalent of a kid who got laughs when he first said a swear word once and now says it over and over again to a lesser effect each time. As such, I never read The Secret Service until just before Kingsman was about to be released. To be fair to Miller, it's one of his more tame tales, which just highlights how when you take away his shock value, he often doesn't have much to say. The comic is about a young man who grew up on the wrong side of the tracks, but whose uncle decides that he sees promise in his nephew and trains him to be a spy. And that's about it, really. He becomes a spy and he saves the world. The whole thing comes across as a spy by numbers with very little unique about it. The big twist on the genre is that the main character isn't a gentleman spy, but a punk kid who grew up playing Xbox instead of learning which forks to use. It comes across as vaguely classist. It seems to be saying more, hey, poor people can be useful too, instead of the main character self-actualizing and find his own purpose. The latter of which seems to be more up the film adaptation's alley. The film, co-written and directed by Matthew Vaughn, basically throws out everything but the basic skeleton of the plot and improves on it tenfold. Vaughn, who did much the same thing with one of Mark Millar's other big creator-owned comic adaptations, Kick-Ass, and injects a lot of life and flavor into the world that was missing from the original work. As such, the names and relationships and personalities get changed while the basic plot gets fleshed out far more. Harry Hart, played by Colin Firth, recruits Eggsy Unwin as a potential member of the Kingsman, a secret independent intelligence agency loosely modeled on the Knights of the Round Table. Eggsy's father was a previous recruit who died saving Hart's life, and Hart feels responsible and gives Eggsy a chance to improve his lot in life. Meanwhile, Richmond Valentine, played by Sam Jackson, is a Bill Gates-level rich genius who is recruiting politicians, scientists, and VIPs in order to save the world from global warming by wiping out the majority of the world's population with the aid of his henchwoman Gazelle, a double amputee who kicks ass with her razor-sharp sword legs. The plot is classic James Bond, and unlike more recent Bond entries, unafraid of not being considered grounded. The goons, the gadgets, Sam Jackson's got a hideout carved into a mountain. The film never takes itself too seriously, but doesn't ever stop to wink at the camera either. This isn't Austin Powers, but it's not Casino Royale either. The fight scenes are both fast and brutal, but also very well choreographed. It contains all the kinetic energy of shaky cam, but all the movement is so deliberate that you never lose the action. Colin Firth is charming and still kicks serious ass as Hart, and Taron Egerton as Eggsy interjects a lot more life and personality into the role than his comic counterpart ever had. Clearly, Sam Jackson is having a blast playing the lisping, squeamish master villain. Add in Mark Strong as Eggsy's Drill Sergeant Merlin, and some supporting roles from Michael Caine and Mark freaking Hamill, and this is just a bit over 2 hours of a really fun spy romp. Considering that this is coming from the director of X-Men First Class, that's not a huge shock. First Class, aside from being my favorite of the X-Men films, came across as a celebration of 60s spy films wrapped around a superhero story. Now he's able to remove the pretense and just do an updated version of the Connery and Moore era Bonds. Oh, and hey, they even feature a female recruit who manages to avoid being the love interest while still being relevant to the plot. Bravo! I had a great time at this. It's probably not one I'm gonna go back to time and time again, but it's a fun way to kill an evening. Some of the alternatives this weekend are just ugh. Too right, son. Shame they didn't bring me into this film. I'm sure it would be a cracking hit. Well, until next time, remember to rate, subscribe, and maybe click on some of these other reviews JD has done. None of which star me, George Lazenby, the one and only James Bond. Koala! Geek Vision!